The sun breaks over the East River. It is a slow, quiet unfolding of light. First, a soft glow brushes against the distant silhouettes of Queens and Brooklyn. Then the rays stretch, reaching across the water, catching the highest spires of Manhattan. One by one, the titans of glass and steel ignite. The Chrysler Building's Art Deco crown gleams like a freshly polished jewel. The Empire State Building, that resolute monarch of the sky, sheds its nightly shadows. The city, for a fleeting moment, is silent. It is a metropolis holding its breath, waiting for the day to begin. In these quiet moments, you can see it for what it truly is. Not just a collection of buildings, not just a grid of streets, but a living museum. Its collection curated by time, ambition, and the relentless march of history itself. Each facade, every cornice and window tells a story. Long before the race to the clouds began, New York was a city of the earth. Its foundations were laid in stone, brick unwavering civic pride. In the mid-19th century, as the city swelled with new arrivals and newfound wealth, it began to dress itself in the grand architectural styles of Europe. It sought to build not just for function, but for posterity. This was a city looking to prove itself to stand shoulder to shoulder with the great capitals of the Old World. The buildings it erected were declarations of intent, solid and resolute. They were built to last, to anchor the burgeoning metropolis in a sense of history and gravitas, even as the future hurtled toward it with dizzying speed. You can still feel this era in the hushed reverence of Trinity Church standing sentinel at the end of Wall Street. Its soaring Gothic Revival spire, once the tallest point in the city, reached toward heaven, a symbol of faith and stability amidst the chaos of commerce. Architects like Richard Upjohn looked to the medieval cathedrals of Europe. Pointed arches, intricate tracery, spiritual weight. At the same time, the city's public life was being shaped by the dignified order of classical design. City Hall, completed in 1812, was a jewel of federal-style architecture with French Renaissance influences. The late 19th century arrived in New York with a roar. The Civil War was over, and a new era of industrial might and unimaginable wealth was dawning. They called it the Gilded Age, a time of glittering surfaces that often concealed a more complicated reality beneath. This explosive growth transformed the very fabric of the city. The quiet, low-slung town of brownstones and modest storefronts began to disappear, replaced by something grander, taller, and infinitely more ambitious. Real estate, once a simple commodity, became the fuel for a speculative fire that would reshape the island of Manhattan. The city was building its own mythology, one block at a time. The city's new elite, the industrialists, the financiers demanded palaces. They built opulent mansions along Fifth Avenue, each one a testament to a personal fortune, a miniature Versailles. But the real revolution was happening downtown. Commerce was king, and the new corporations needed headquarters that projected power and prestige. The most significant of these was cast iron architecture. This innovation allowed for the creation of intricate, elegant facades that could be produced in a factory and assembled on site. Suddenly, buildings could have larger windows, flooding their interiors with natural light, a crucial feature before the widespread use of electricity. Neighborhoods like Soho became showcases for this new style, their streets lined with what were essentially prefabricated palaces of commerce. The ornate columns and arches mimicking classical stone spoke of tradition, but the method of their creation was entirely modern. It was the perfect architecture for an age obsessed with both appearances and efficiency. This building boom was a direct reflection of the city's unbridled capitalism. The skyline, though not yet vertical in the way we know it, was becoming denser, more ornate, more imposing. The city was shedding its skin, casting off its provincial past and dressing itself for a future as the commercial and financial capital of the world. The city was running out of room, or, more accurately, it was running out of ground. The relentless pressures of commerce and population on the narrow island of Manhattan created a problem that could only be solved in one direction: up. The invention that unlocked this vertical frontier was the steel frame. A hidden skeleton of immense strength freed buildings from the tyranny of their own weight. No longer did walls need to be massively thick at the base. A slender but powerful steel cage could carry the load, allowing buildings to soar. At first, these new tall buildings were tentative. They were experiments, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. Then, in 1902, a building rose at the intersection of Fifth Avenue and Broadway that captured the public imagination like no other. The Fuller Building, the Flatiron, was a magnificent wedge of limestone and terracotta. Its triangular shape, dictated by the unusual plot, made it an instant landmark. Not the tallest of its time, but dramatic, like the proud prow of a great ocean liner sailing up the avenue. It was a statement that architecture could be both functional and breathtakingly sculptural. The race to the sky was on. Each new project sought to outdo the last, to claim the title of the world's tallest. The competition was a public spectacle, a proxy battle for corporate supremacy played out in rivets and steel beams. In 1913, the Woolworth Building was completed, designed by Cass Gilbert, financed by F.W. Woolworth, dubbed the Cathedral of Commerce. Gothic-inspired terracotta detailing, a soaring lobby, gargoyles, a vaulted ceiling. For 17 years it reigned as the tallest, a symbol of American commercial might. These early skyscrapers were engineering marvels and acts of optimism. They reshaped the city's skyline and its psychology. They created a new urban experience, verticality and density. People craned their necks in awe, their sense of scale forever altered. The city was no longer just a landscape to be walked through. It was a vertical wonder to be looked up at. As New York reached for the sky, a new art form was there to capture its ascent: photography. From its earliest days, the camera has been an essential tool for documenting the city's relentless transformation. It became the city's memory, its impartial, unblinking eye. Think of the work of Jacob Riis in the late 19th century. He turned his lens on the dark, crowded tenements of the Lower East Side. His stark images revealed the grim reality behind the Gilded Age's facade. They document fire escapes, narrow air shafts, cramped quarters. His work reminds us that architecture is, at its core, about people. Then came photographers like Alfred Stieglitz and Berenice Abbott. Abbott, in her monumental project Changing New York, embarked on a systematic effort to document the city in the 1930s. She understood that the old New York was vanishing, being replaced by a newer, taller version. They are a time capsule, allowing us to stand exactly where she stood and see what she saw. Today, photography continues this vital role. Millions of images are made every day. Professionals, amateurs, digital photography and social media have created a vast, ever-expanding visual archive of the city's life. Visual, split image, Grand Central under construction, and the same location bustling with commuters today. This act of comparison collapses time, connecting us directly to the past and highlighting the incredible, unceasing change that defines New York. Even as New York was forging a new, modern identity, it looked back, deeply back, to the foundational cultures of Western civilization. In the early 20th century, at the height of its Gilded Age confidence, the city embraced the Beaux Arts style, an architectural movement rooted in the principles of classical Greece and Rome. Step into the main reading room of the New York Public Library on Fifth Avenue. You are not just in a library, you are in a temple dedicated to knowledge. The massive marble facade, the grand staircases, the Corinthian columns, the soaring, coffered ceilings. It was a design meant to inspire awe and to communicate the importance of learning and civic enlightenment. Just a few blocks away lies another monument to this classical ideal, Grand Central Terminal. It is more than a train station, it is a gateway to the city, a modern Roman bathhouse for the age of travel. The vast main concourse, with its celestial ceiling and enormous arched windows. The architects Reed and Stem, Warren and Wetmore created a civic space both efficient and profoundly beautiful. It organized the chaos of travel within a framework of classical order and harmony. These buildings represent a particular moment in the city's history, a moment of supreme self-assurance. By clothing its institutions in the styles of ancient Greece and Rome, the city made a bold claim about its destiny. They are anchors of beauty and order in the ever-swirling currents of the metropolis. The classical dreams of the Beaux Arts era eventually gave way to a new, starker vision. The mid-20th century brought the international style, a movement that stripped away ornament in favor of clean lines, glass walls, and functional purity. Seagram Building, Lever House, Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, Gordon Bunshaft. They redefined the skyscraper as sleek, elegant boxes of glass and bronze. A new wave of contemporary architecture emerged, one that embraced sculptural forms, diverse materials, and a more expressive, individualistic approach. We see the rise of the super-talls, incredibly slender residential towers that pierce the sky over Central Park. At the same time, a quieter, more profound revolution is underway. New buildings are being designed with the environment in mind. The Bank of America Tower at 1 Bryant Park was a pioneer in this regard. And so the story continues. The skyline of New York is a perpetual work in progress, a palimpsest on which each generation writes its own chapter. It tells a story of immigration, innovation, triumph, and tragedy. It is a living museum, not of static artifacts behind glass, but of dynamic structures that house the city's life and embody its dreams. To truly understand this city, one must simply look up, read the stories in the stone, the steel, and the glass, and then go inside, explore these spaces, feel their history, and become part of their ongoing narrative. From colonial stone to glass towers, New York is not just a city, it is an architectural narrative written across time. If you enjoyed this journey through New York's architectural history, please like, comment, and subscribe for